Hello, my dear students. Hope you guys are all doing good. And those students who are appearing for the examination, I hope you guys are all doing great in your examination. Now, I'm doing a quick video to address one of the most important questions which students are continuously asking me. Sir, what topics we have to revise on the day before examination? Or how we should utilize the time which is available on the day before examination, which chapters we have to revise, which concepts we have to revise. So how we need to spend our time wisely before we go for the examination. And also I have received a request from few students who are actually appearing for group 2 examination alone. Still they have some time left for revising for the group 2 papers, especially for the auditing. So within this time available, so some 3-4 days of time they have before they appear for the group 2 examination. So they have also asked me, sir, within this short span of time, what and all content we should revise in the auditing exam. So this is one question which I'm continuously getting it. So I am doing this video exclusively to help you out so that you can utilize your time properly on the day before the examination, and also whatever short span of time we have left till the time you go for the auditing exam. So my agenda is going to be this, and I will not take much of your time. I have already listed down everything, the document I have already prepared it, what chapters you have to cover, when you have to cover, order of covering, priority of covering the chapters, everything I have prepared a document. The document is readily available here. I will share the link of this document in the description. You can download it. I will also upload it in my app. You can also download it from there. Clear? So let us now see how we can properly utilize the time which we have before going for the examination. Shall we do it, guys? Let us do it now. So you might have put a lot of effort till now. You might have put a lot of effort. Definitely, you might have covered various chapters. You might have done multiple revisions. If you have done that, well and good. See, those students who has done either 2 or 3 revisions of the entire subject, they will be comfortable in revising the entire content on the day before examination. But majority of the students will be there who will not get enough of time for doing multiple times of revision. Either they would have prepared for the entire subject once, or at most they would have done only one revision. So for them, covering the entire syllabus on the day before examination might not be a feasible option. If you have done multiple revisions, you can do that, is feasible for you. But if you have not done multiple revisions, you have done only one level of preparation or one level of revision, it might not be a feasible option to revise the entire syllabus. So then you have to be choosy. You have to be choosy in chapters which topics you have to revise, which topics you should not revise. Why? Because the time available is very limited. So you have to be choosy in your preparation. So I am going to tell you those chapters, those concepts which you have to revise on the day before the examination compulsorily. Okay. So first I have divided here into various categories on the basis of their priority. First one, the top priority, the moment you are done with the advanced accounting exam. So after you have taken enough of rest and relaxation, on that evening itself, you have to start revising the auditing syllabus. So first thing, I am going to list down here top priority chapters. Your first focus should be to revise the top priority chapters where there is a high score, the probability for higher score in the examination, and even in the form of MCQs and true or false statements. So those top priority chapters are going to be, I have listed down 6 chapters here. How many chapters I have listed down here? 6 chapters I have listed down here. These chapters fully you have to revise. Don't leave any question, don't leave any concept. These 6 chapters, whatever I have listed down here, that is your top priority. That is where you have to start your revision from. These 6 chapters, don't leave out anything. Don't even leave out a single concept also. Revise the entire 6 chapters. That is the first starting point for your revision. Sir, what are those 6 chapters which we have to revise fully? The list is there here. Company audit. Start with company audit. Easy and simple. Revise it first quickly. It will not take much of a time. 1.5 hours to 2 hours. You can do it. Then you spend time on audit reporting, including CARO. Then your next focus will be what? Audit reporting chapter, including CARO. As you all know, CARO is very much important from the examination perspective. So compulsory a question will be there from the CARO. So first cover the company audit chapter, then complete audit reporting, including CARO without leaving out anything. Then nature, objective and scope of audit, our first chapter. So whatever our first chapter is there, nature, objective and scope of audit, very basic concepts will be there. Then you cover that chapter. After that, audit documentation and evidence. Very conceptual topic, very important topic, huge scope for coming questions in the form of MCQs and true or false statements. And in majority of the scenarios, case scenario based MCQs, you will get it from this chapter only, audit, documentation and evidence. So very, very important chapter. So once you are done with nature, objective and scope of audit, then revise thoroughly audit, documentation and audit evidence. Then you take up the chapter fraud and responsibilities of auditor. Very small chapter, limited number of questions, but in the recent times the weightage is very higher. In the last 2-3 attempts, if you observe, there were questions of around 6 marks, 8 marks, 10 marks from this chapter, fraud and responsibilities of auditor. So very small chapter, but compulsorily you will get minimum number of questions, minimum 6 marks you will get it from the chapter fraud and responsibilities of auditor. So you have to cover that chapter. Once you are done with that, audit in an automated environment. Sir, why am I including this audit in an automated environment? Once again, the logic is very simple. Limited number of questions, and if you look at the last 2-3 attempts, 8 marks of questions are getting tested from this chapter. How many marks? 8 marks are getting tested from this chapter. Audit in an automated environment. Very simple chapter. Limited number of questions, will not take much of your time. So these 6 chapters completely you should be revising. Spend enough of time on revising all these 6 chapters. What are those 6 chapters, guys? Company audit, audit reporting including CARO, nature, objective and scope of audit, audit documentation and audit evidence, fraud and responsibilities of auditor, audit in an automated environment. These chapters you have to cover fully without leaving out anything. This is your top priority. So if you would have covered this chapter, almost you would have covered some 30 to 40 marks in your examination. The syllabus weighing 30 to 40 marks in the examination, you would have already revised it. So this should be your prime focus. That's why I have added it as top priority chapters. So once you are done with the 6 chapters, then take up standards on auditing. Then take up the chapter standards on auditing. In that standards on auditing, as you know, there are a total of 10 standards which are given there in that chapter, standards on auditing. But I don't expect you to revise all the standards fully. So I have chosen here a few standards which you need to revise. First, take up 4 standards, 501, 505, 510, 580. These are 4 standards you revise fully. Don't leave anything from these 4 standards, which is standards 501, 505, 510, 580. 501 audit evidence specific considerations for selected items, 505 external confirmation, 510 initial audit engagements opening balances, 580 written representation. These 4 standards cover it fully. Then take up SA 560. If you have time, if you are very comfortable with SA 560, revise the entire standard. If you are not that comfortable, at least try to cover 2 concepts from SA 560. One is what audit procedure auditor has to perform regarding subsequent events, and what are the auditor's responsibilities regarding subsequent events, divided under 2 cases. So these are 2 topics you have to cover from SA 560. Then take up SA 570. Then you go through auditors reporting responsibilities regarding going concern. Along with that, what are the indicators relating to going concern? These 2 concepts you try to cover it. So if you are very much comfortable with these 2 standards, revise it fully, no objection. If you are not that comfortable, don't leave out the entire standard. At least try to cover these concepts. Clear, everybody? So this is what regarding standards. So 4 standards fully. Once you are done with that, 2 standards, and if you are not comfortable with that 2 standards that much comfortably, then what you can do is this chosen topics you can go through. And one more thing, as you all know, for the standards on auditing, I have already prepared a summarized notes here. This notes is always available in the app. I have made it available a few months ago actually. So this notes, this summary of all the standards, this I have already uploaded in my app. You can download that. The links will be there in the description. How to download this notes for the standards on auditing? The link will be the link will be given in the description. Check that description and make use of these charts to revise the standards on auditing chapter. It will reduce a lot of your time, and even you will get better clarity of the standards also. So once you are done with the 6 chapters, then take up standards, and these are the chapters which you have to prepare. Now you will have some time left, but first I want to say one thing. Last 2 to 3 hours, before you go for examination, you dedicate it. Last 2 to 3 hours you have to dedicate it exclusively for going through these 2 chapters: audit of items of financial statements, audit of various entities. The last 2 hours, last 2 hours before you go for examination. For example, your exam will start at 2. You are closing your preparation by 12 o'clock. 10 to 12, the day of the examination, 10 to 12 or 9 to 12, whatever time you have, in that 2 to 3 hours of time, you dedicate it exclusively for these two chapters, audit of items of financial statements, audit of various entities. And what I should do in this 2 hours of time, don't try to mug up any content, just give a novel reading of all the questions from this last two chapters. And when you have to do this, in the last 2 to 3 hours before the examination, that last 2 to 3 hours, you allocate it, you dedicate the time exclusively for these two chapters, audit of items of financial statements and audit of various entities. You dedicate this time 2 to 3 hours exclusively for these two chapters. And what you should do in that last 2-3 hours before you go for examination regarding these two chapters, don't try to mug up any content, just give a novel reading, quick glance you have to give for all the questions, then you go and appear for the examination. Why I am insisting this much is, these two chapters put together contribute 12 to 14 marks in the examination. These two chapters, audit of items of financial statements and audit of various entities, these two chapters will put together contribute 12 to 14 marks. And from the beginning I was always insisting, don't unnecessarily waste your time on mugging up the content. The answers from these last two chapters, you have to write it out of your practical exposure. So that's why if you read this last two chapters close to the examination, a lot of content will be there in your mind. You will be able to write so many related points. So that's why last 2-3 hours you have to allocate only for these two chapters. Now in between, whatever time you have, so for example, you will cover this first, then you will cover standards on auditing, and the last 2 hours you are allocating for these two chapters. Now in between, whatever time you have, no, that time you try to use it for covering these topics which I have listed down to the extent you can. To the extent you can, whatever you can cover in between the time available, whatever time you have, leaving out that last 2-3 hours, in between whatever time you have, after you have covered the top priority and standards chapters, in that time available, you try to cover the below mentioned concepts, follow the same order, try to cover as much as you can. No compulsion, try to cover as much as you can. So like take up audit sampling chapter. In that audit sampling chapter, if possible, try to revise the chapter fully, or else you try to revise these topics which I have listed down here. Approaches to sampling like statistical, non-statistical, various sampling techniques like random sampling, interval sampling, block sampling, so that techniques you have to cover. Then sampling risk, what is the meaning of sampling risk, how it is going to have an impact on test of controls, test of details. Along with that, analytical procedures. Once you are done with audit sampling, then take up analytical procedures. In this chapter, specifically a few topics I have listed down here. What is the meaning of audit procedures? What techniques are available for performing analytical procedures? How to use analytical procedure as a substantive audit procedure? And in that 4 steps will be involved. For all the 4 steps, 4 separate questions will be there. So try to revise these concepts specifically. Then you take up audit of banks. In the audit of banks, specifically you try to cover what are special NPA norms in 10 special cases, drawing power, how to conduct audit of incomes, reporting requirements of the auditors of the bank. These you try to revise specifically. Then take up risk assessment and internal control. In that risk assessment and internal control, you have to cover minimum these things: audit risk and its components, meaning of internal controls, limitations of internal controls, methods for evaluation of internal control, benefits of understanding of internal control, and what are the functions of the internal auditor. Try to cover as much as you can. See, if you are so well versed, after covering all these topics also, still you have time left. After covering all these topics, still if you have time left, you have to go through recent attempts, RTPs, MTPs, and one last attempt a suggested answer. Please try to do this. This also you try to do. The recent attempts RTP, for the current attempt, whatever RTP is there, that RTP, 2 series of MTP will be there, that also you go through. If time permits, go through suggested answer of the last attempt. If it is not that mandatory, suggested answer is not that mandatory, but please spend some time in going through RTPs and recent attempts MTPs. 2 papers, 2 series of MTPs will be there that you can go through. And if you are aware, I have already uploaded a video for RTP, recent attempts RTP. I have also uploaded videos for the recent 2 series of MTPs also. And wherever necessary, try to take the help of the marathon videos which I have uploaded. Wherever necessary, try to take the help of marathon videos. So we have already got a very good response for the marathon videos. It is helping out so many students. So wherever you feel necessary for any of this chapter, take the help of the marathon videos also. So this is what you need to do on the day before examination and whatever limited time you have before you go for the examination. Understood everybody guys? So I hope this video will help you out. Please do follow it, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like and share, and also share your feedback in the comments section. All the very best guys. Rock the auditing exam. All the best guys. Thank you so much.